What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Pure Pleasure with Dewey Halpus on Adobe Radio and Jabberjaw Media. My name is Dewey, your host with the most, bringing you more great content week after week. This week, folks, we have an old buddy of mine, Daryl Palumbo. We met back on Warped Tour 2003, I believe it was. I'll have to look it up. But it was a long time ago, and it was back with Anatomy of a Ghost, and Daryl at the time was in Glassjaw, still is in Glassjaw, but he's done a bunch of other projects as well in the meantime, as Glassjaw's gone in and out of hiatus, and, life gets in the way sometimes. So he's got a lot of projects. He's doing a lot of cool things, and what a badass band Glassjaw has been for so long. And we talk about on the episode, I remember seeing him back on the snowcore tours, those kind of weird nu metal snowboarding tours that are, they just didn't fit, but I think that was good for them because they stood out as like a front runner. It was interesting. Anyway, the cool part about this interview is Daryl doesn't do a lot of long form interviews. I don't think he's done any really. And I had hit him up about coming on the show, and he was into it, and went ahead and we just talked about his life and his upbringing. I mean, he's got an interesting story, especially how him and Beck met. And I mean, it's an interesting story, and I'm really glad I'm able to bring it to you guys. And it was great catching up with Daryl. I haven't talked to him in a long time. He was always super cool to us on Warped Tour, calling out when we were going to be playing on what stage, when they were on main stage, and just taking us under his wing and just having a blast together. And we talk a little bit about that too. So I'm stoked to bring this one to you guys this week with Daryl. So let's get some business out of the way as usual, and then we'll get into everything. We are on purepleasurepodcast.com, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the socials. I know I'm not big on the social media thing, but I'm working into it as time goes on, getting a little better at it. But it is, it just seems like it's not necessary to me to have that social media presence. If people know about the show, they'll spread the word of mouth. But in the meantime, we're gonna keep on the socials and keep posting all that stuff for you guys. So definitely check us out on there. Check out rockabilia.com. Rockabilia.com has over 500,000 items in their store, all licensed from the bands. Licensed band merchandise at a great price with great customer service. Rockabilia.com is your one-stop shop. So check them out. And so let's go ahead and get into this episode with Daryl Palumbo, the one and only, as as I like to say, because he is a true original, and you guys are going to hear that on this episode. Just a great dude. And Glassjaw's got a new record out called Material Control. We talk a bit about that, too, because there was an original plan to release the record in secret, and that got foiled. I'm not sure by whom, but it's an interesting story as well, how they were going to release that and had a whole plan together. And I feel bad that it didn't work out, but the record is great. So go check that out now. And they're going to be touring with Quicksand here coming up all across the U.S. And so definitely check that out as well. All right, guys, without further ado, let's get into my episode with Daryl Palumbo from Glassjaw.
Oh, that's amazing. Very dope.
It's one of those hacks.
Very dope.
So
that's a good hack.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, thanks for having me, man. How you been?
Dude, I've been great, man. I've been great. A lot. We haven't seen each other for a long time, man. It's been like,
I know, that's a long time.
2003 or something, 2004. I don't remember what Warped Tour that was, but
probably 2003.
Shit.
Yeah. At the latest, if anything, 2002, 2003.
Yeah, exactly, man. And so, yeah, lots gone on. I've stopped playing music and gone into real world workforce as a commercial plumber and working on hospitals and shit, and then had kids and all that stuff. And yeah, everyone else continued on and did other things. And the other guys are in Portugal the Man, which is massive now, and so
yeah, totally,
they're doing their thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but and you've been up to tons of
crazy
stuff that we'll talk about too, man, because I'm fascinated to find out what's been going on and kind of what led up to everything. And but first off, Daryl Palumbo from Glassjaw, Color Film, all sorts of craziness. Welcome to the Pure Pleasure Podcast.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Fantastic, man. So backstory here for my listenership, how you and I met was we were just talking about Warped Tour 2003. Anatomy of a Ghost was the band I was with, and the weirdest part about this, Daryl, is we were big Glassjaw fans before Warped Tour, and we had been listening to Worship and Tribute literally on the way and on the way home from the studio recording our record. And it was funny because we got to, and then everything kind of exploded. We're like touring full time, Warped Tour's happening. We get on Warped Tour. You guys are on it. I think we met Todd first, and then I don't remember how you and I met, but I think you started saying from the stage every day what time we were playing and to go check us out, which was the weirdest and coolest thing ever. It'd be literally like, hey, check out Anatomy of a Ghost on this stage at this time. Go check them out. And we're like, dude, what is happening right now? Like, what? This is fucking crazy. And
I hope it helps, man. I feel like nobody really watched us. I feel like nobody really watched us until like Chicago and New York, and that was like the end of it.
That's
so I feel like nobody really even watched us. Yeah, I mean, maybe people did a little bit, but I don't know.
Dude.
But that was good. Hey, you're good. I'm glad we got to meet that.
Yeah, exactly. But so yeah, that's the backstory, and then yeah, that was a long time ago. So lots happened since then. But
that's many lifetimes ago.
Exactly. And you're a father now? That's what I've been hearing.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a dad. Yeah.
How old?
He turned one. He turned one about a month ago.
Oh my God.
So yeah, time flies. It is a crazy. It's a crazy experience. So yeah, that's like my day to day in a big way, and it's amazing. Yeah.
Dude, you're loving it.
Yeah, I do love it. It's amazing. Are you dad?
Yeah.
Say, yeah, that's what you did. Well, good. You can relate. It's crazy. It's new for me. So
yeah, it was crazy. I got my wife had a daughter, so I have a stepdaughter who's just getting ready to go to college, and so
wow.
We had it was weird because that was new to me coming into parenting at like 10 or 11 years old, and then having kids with my wife, having the littles. So we've got a son, Grayson, he's 6. Well, he'll be 6 in September. And then my daughter, Cora, is just turning 5 this month. And so we basically started over. And so that was all new to me. But I'd already kind of experienced the teenage time. So,
wow.
So now I know what to expect, kind of. Or what's in store.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just a lot to take in. I can't even imagine. That's really amazing.
It's nuts.
I'm in awe of what you do. Yeah, no, that's amazing.
Dude.
It's not easy. I'm only a little over a year in, and I'm learning. It's definitely a very real thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Are you sleeping?
Best thing. When I can. Yeah, that's obviously something that I don't sleep as much as I did.
Yeah.
I used to get a lot of sleep. It was good. Yeah.
Man.
Not so much, but it's good. It's good.
Okay.
I'm into it.
And so are you married now? Girlfriend, married, or?
I am married, yeah.
Okay.
I'm married. Been married for a couple of years.
Man.
It's beautiful. Life is good.
Excellent. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about, let's lead up to this, because I mean, you and I met at a like a big time in your life. I mean, Glassjaw was really starting to hit hard.
Yeah.
And I was, doing my thing, and that was what it was. And then, but I don't know a lot about you as far as, where you came from and how you got into that whole scene. You know what I mean? Where I knew you had grown up in the hardcore scene in New York. And I know, when I first saw Glassjaw, it was always on like those snowcore tours and stuff where you guys were kind of partnering with these new metal bands. And I was like,
that was that entire time of our life. Yeah. No, that was that whole time. Yeah.
And so
a lot of that.
Yeah. So I want to go back. Like, you grew up in New York, right? You were born in New York State, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Long Island, New York.
Long Island, New York.
I'm a Long Island, New York guy. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm very much that guy. Yeah. Justin too. My brother is my partner in Glassjaw. He's a Long Islander. He's from Merrick, and I'm from Belmore. And they're 2 towns next to each other on Long Island in New York.
Okay.
I feel like there's a lot of people like me. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of guys that from that place. I feel like we're a type of guy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. I feel like it's a thing. And if you know the thing, and like you know us, or like you are one of those guys, I'm sure you know the thing, just even, just hear me say it, you're like, oh my God, yeah, they're those guys.
Sure. What did your parents do then?
My dad worked for Amtrak my entire life, and my mom, like secretarial type stuff like that.
Administrative kind of
like
things?
That. Yeah, officey. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So both parents working, and you have brothers and sisters, or?
No, it's just me.
Just you. So did you spend a lot of time like after school programs and things like that on your own, or?
No. No. I just came home to my house either by myself or I'd be with my grandma's. I'm Italian Long Island dude. So there's lots of grandma, and lots of, it's a real close family. So there was always people around. So I'd come home, I would go to my grandmother's and spend a lot of time with her after school. And it was just me.
Okay.
And I got to, it was just me and my imagination. And that just kind of set the groundwork. Yeah, being an only child just kind of forced me to,
Sure.
have to use my imagination at all times.
Excellent. That's something I don't hear that a lot, because a lot of people I talk to have, brothers and sisters, and that's how they got into music, is big brother, big sister gave them a record, or they heard them listening to these records. I mean, how early did you get into music? Were you have a musical family as far as your parents go, grandmother?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, my dad and, just everybody in both sides of my family just really dug music. My dad was my music, partner. Just like me and him always were on the same page of music my whole life. So yeah, and that was just from when I was born. He played before I was born. He was in bands, and he was a rock dad,
Okay.
Yeah, British invasion stuff and new wave stuff and far out art music stuff, but yeah, a lot of great pop music, a lot of good British, far out synthesizer stuff, and I'm from the '80s, so
yeah,
he kind of raised me on good tunes, and my mother's brother was just, he's a far out, rock and roll dude. Always just was into crazy classic rock, and some of it is fucking terrifying when you're young, It's just, it comes across way heavier than it really fucking is, like Sabbath and shit. I was just talking about this with somebody. That's like fucking death metal when you're 4,
Sure.
So that was seeing that in my mom's younger brother, he was young when I was real little. So he was just killing it, being a young wild dude, and seeing him listening to Zappa and Sabbath and shit. That definitely, all that stuff stuck with me in a heavy way. Dude. And yeah, there's music around all the time, definitely.
That's excellent. Sabbath when you were 4. That's fucking crazy. Dude.
Well, it didn't stick the hardest of all of it. Zappa and shit like that.
Yeah.
Zappa, that stuff really that really fucked me up. Things like that. Bands like Squeeze and a lot of British stuff. Those bands, just from an early age, that became just stuff that really stuck in my head. I got drawn to it. Those weird type of niche things, and that's still my shit, I guess. I don't know.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, you have a great sense of melody, so I was curious on what you grew up on, because as heavy as a lot of the stuff you put out is, there's always this overwhelming sense of melody and these hooks, but it's done in a way that's just so unique that I was really curious, because that's a big thing with a lot of things that you do, I think, and it's either very, very brutal, but then there's this just beauty that comes out of it, or it's straightforward, just in your face, catchy as hell. So that makes a lot of sense.
I love that stuff. That stuff was just always there. It's just not the first stuff. I feel if you're playing music when you're real young, it's not the first shit that you gravitate towards. Physically, your body doesn't maybe gravitate towards playing Costello tunes and figuring out Squeeze tunes, more sophisticated kind of cool, thinking man's pop music. I didn't personally veer towards playing that immediately when I was young, but that was always there. It's just every moment of my life, my whole life. But I don't know. And then you pick up a guitar when you're fucking 10, and you're I play thrash metal, and that's what I do. And I was born to play thrash metal. Like, that's kind of what you physically, I think dudes like me and Justin, like, we just kind of, it was like skateboards, guitars, fucking graffiti, just everything at once. Like in 89 through 93, 94 was like just everything hitting. But then, at a certain point, I guess I got lucky and I got to really start playing a lot of that type of, far out pop and synthesizer music and far out shit. But
yeah,
I mean, I love heavy stuff too. Heavy stuff is fucking great.
Exactly. You have a good appreciation for everything. I mean, and it really shows. I mean, so how early on did you and Beck meet?
I feel like I've never spaced out on I think I was 12 or 13, 12, maybe
okay.
12, 13. I feel like I'm spacing a little bit, but he was a year older than me, and I just finished 8th grade, and I was just, I guess I got my first kind of like job as like a kid. Was at a day camp that I went to my whole life every summer.
Uh-huh.
My grandmother, mentioned earlier, she was the cook at this day camp on Long Island. And that was I just finished 8th grade and I went to my first day of work, and I think I was wearing an Anthrax Among the Living shirt. Like, I had to make sure that I had that on, like, so that anybody, like, any fucking person knows what that fucking stupid shit was at the time. But anybody who would know, if you saw me, you would know. Back then, it was like, you put the bait out there. So if anybody was like-minded, if anybody was ahead, they would like come up to you and be like on the page. But ironically, Justin was wearing like Bad Brains shirt, like day one. Like he was working that summer. It was his first day working, and I was just like, that's it. I think I just saw him and we fell in love, and I had to talk to him about whatever fucking records I got. whatever we were listening to, Suicidal, and fucking Bad Brains and Anthrax and that stuff. So we met them, and that was it there.
Wow. They're just flying the flag, just put it out there.
Had to.
Yeah.
See, and a good thing I did, because I met my man,
Dude, it changed your entire life, the entire course of your life. That's
literally
insane.
That's right.
To this
I'm not
day.
even fucking kidding. I knew it. It's beyond to this day. It changed everything in my life forever. I was wearing it like a fucking flag. I probably had X's on my hand, like something crazy. Like I was probably just dressed up like I was going to a fucking, a show in a movie. Like I wasn't even like I was probably looked so ready to go to some show out of a movie about shows, and I had to let it be known. And good thing I did. Yeah, he looks great. Justin looked amazing. I remember his outfit. I remember the outfit. Yeah, he looked great. I knew it.
Seriously.
And he was a year old, but he looked physically, he was like a handsome cat, like very mature. He looked more mature, and I was like, that's a fucking cool dude. I knew. See, and then we started playing guitar together, and that was it.
Dude, so that's fantastic. And you remember what he's wearing? That's adorable. But
I remember all of his outfits from that era. He had great shirts. We talked about. He had a couple items that were great items. I mean, me and him had funny fucking clothes. We look back now, but he always had great. Well, he had like a great watch, like a sick goofy watch, and like a Taco Bell shirt. He had like all the dope shit. Definitely, right off rip.
He was your cooler older brother, right there.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a year and a half older than me.
Yeah.
He was kind of like a little more swaggy than me, definitely, yeah.
Sure. And he goes on to start a merch company and a juggernaut there. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's just writing itself.
See? Yeah, man. See?
So you guys start jamming on guitar, and so, I mean, how soon after did Glassjaw form? Was there a band before Glassjaw with you two?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it was just like me and him, just like fantasizing and like writing songs. That was just kind of like what it's still that. It kind of was just always that. And I think at the time, it was called Minority Overall. It was just like, I think it doesn't even sound like English. Like doesn't really make sense. Like, what does Minority Overall really mean? But that was like the name. I remember being like, this is fucking name. And then I think it was that, like, on like stickers or like on notebooks or whatever you do at the time.
Sure.
And then a couple other dudes I just knew from like Catholic high school or other wild straight edge skateboard lunatics. And they were starting a band, and they were like, you should be in our band. And I was like, I got a guy or whatever. And we all just like teamed up, and it was Glassjaw. But yeah, we didn't even really start it. Like, I think I I made the name up, I think, but like we didn't. I think it was like other kids, like my friends, more were doing this thing, and they were like, "You got to join, Daryl." But I was already jamming with Justin, and so I was like, "Yeah, but I got this guy, my dude." And then, yeah, that's it. And that was a million lifetimes ago. And somehow, then it just became mine and his thing. We were just probably really anal even at that point about everything. So
Yeah.
And that's like 13 years old, all these stories that I'm telling you.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And you're still, I mean, your formative years, you guys have already found each other, soulmates, found each other. You're on this journey. I mean, this is stuff movies are made of, man. This is,
yeah.
And I totally get that vibe watching you guys, perform together. I've never watched you write together, but watching you guys on stage together and just, I mean, the way you guys are, just even at dinner or something, like, it's just like best buddies. I mean, it's you could definitely tell the dynamic in the band, that who did what and who the staple people were. I mean, you could always tell that. But so you guys, Glassjaw's running, you guys are doing your thing, and then when does everything kind of come around to, first record comes out, Roadrunner comes around, then all that mess happens with them. I mean, how soon did you guys, I mean, you guys signed with Roadrunner, put out the first record, you had an EP before that, and then did things just kind of start exploding from there, or did it take until Worship and Tribute to really start to explode?
Well, I mean, we came from just like hardcore,
Yeah.
So like, it was just people going to, more and more people would just go to the hardcore show era of it, like it was getting kind of like happening steadily more and more from like 93 forward. Like the shows just got bigger until like at a certain point, I think maybe we, probably played a show and drew, fucking 1,000 people, maybe more than 1,000 people, something crazy like that. Justin probably knows the exact number, We finally were drawing, just like drawing dudes, and that was like late 90s, 98, 99.
Yeah.
And we were just trying to learn how to like write stuff. Like we never were like, like trying to be, prog phenom. That's not like that wasn't our thing. We just kind of like proggy, far out, bugged out hardcore and wanted to do it really heavy, but do a lot of really far out, melodic, rad, soulful stuff too. I mean, it's just obvious what we were probably trying to do.
Uh-huh.
And around the late 90s, that was when it kind of was all just like really, we were starting to draw more dudes, and labels were hollering a little bit, but we didn't particularly give a shit, right off the bat. But and then Roadrunner was probably late 99. I think they came in directly into our life, me and Justin's life. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I feel like, 2000 or 2000, from like late 99, 2000, like 2003 was just the era of, the two major label sort of records, and that kind of all felt the same, I guess, in retrospect. But yeah, that was kind of when it was, Worship and Tribute, I guess, is when things felt kind of pro.
Okay.
Like I said on the Warped Tour, I think where we met, I feel like it's not even a ton of people were really watching us, but maybe we had a song out at that moment that was I don't know. But by the end of that Warped Tour, by the end of like the 9 weeks that it is, like at the end of the road, like it felt like there was definitely more kids watching us.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of took like a break for a minute after that era, for like a minute, not too long, but a minute.
Sure. I remember a lot from that time because, I mean, Cosmopolitan Blood Loss, there's a video for that song with, is it Vincent Gallo, I believe is his name, in the video. Anyways, it was a video out, and then, so that was like the song, but you guys did not play it at Warped Tour, and I was talking to Todd, and Todd's like, yeah, we played that song so much, I can't stand it. Like, but you guys would play the other one, Aptos Mill, like the really like slow jammy song. And that, I remember I first saw that song before meeting you guys. I saw it on like the AOL sessions or whatever, that live in studio version of it, and it just like clicked with me. Anyway, but that whole era, like
cool.
it seemed like everything was kind of firing on all cylinders, and the amount of people that it seemed like a lot of people were watching at Warped Tour, but it seemed like people were into it. I mean, they were singing along, but then getting back to everything rolling that direction. Seeing you live, that was the first time I'd seen you guys live. I missed all the Portland shows. I was always working like shitty shifts at work. I think the other guys saw you guys like twice, but getting
those
to
are
see
madness.
you,
some of those shows in that era were fucking madness.
It was,
those are great.
But watching you on stage and watching, because I was familiar with the music, the songs, but seeing it live, that projection, the power of your voice for one, you're on stage. It seemed like you were almost. You had like this stagger on stage where you would just kind of flail around, but then you would literally throw everything into these parts. Like you could say, your hand would go out behind you. Like it was almost like just this like heaving of emotions. Like it was crazy. It was like, I was like, is he drunk? Is he going to throw up? No, he's straight edge.
Drunk. No, he was definitely not drunk.
Exactly. That was what was cool, is finding out you were straight edge, because I was like, is he drunk? No, he's not drunk. He's not drunk at all. He just has this like, and everything was just like flowing through you guys. And I'd watch Beck, like watching his leg bounce, like this uncontrollable like rhythm, like this metronome.
He's got a good bounce. His leg has a great bounce.
Yeah,
has that bounce.
And he'd like have one foot up on the pedal board, and it would just be rocking like it was just mechanical. And that groove was so thick. When did you find that voice? When did you find that voice and that power? Because that's one thing that really stood out, was just this. It looked, it was so professional and on key. I'm not kissing your ass here. I'm just saying, like, there's
no, I don't think you are. I just laugh at that stuff. I just feel like in my head, I was like, I was Roger Daltrey in my head the whole time. And I think, but you have to sell it, right? And I really, whether I knew that I had so far to go, and I still, at least every day I have so far to go. Every day is like a million lessons, in every way. Yeah. Whether it's singing or fucking life lessons with my son, or just, it's just I learn. You just learn. So like, whether I knew that at the time, I definitely was fucking Roger Daltrey the whole time. Like in my head.
Yeah.
But I think that going back, it's like it's horrible to watch a lot of it. You're reiterating it really amazingly, and that's so flattering. And I think that probably it's way harder for me to see a lot of those old shows. But I think the part of it is that I was just full conviction at all times. So that's just what. I don't know, me and Justin were just nuts. We're just nuts. Yeah. We just get out there and we're fucking nuts.
It came across
that
way.
Like he's a dude, like he's a business guy, and he's got to deal with a million people every fucking day in the factory, and then we just get on stage and we're just nuts. Like it doesn't matter. It just kind of doesn't matter where we're at. Like I'm a fucking dad, Like, and I just still like, there's no way that you just can't do you just can't play that type of music and then not be a fucking kind of crazy dude and just be able to just do it, whip it out every fucking time. But I think that part of it, what the thing you're describing was just being real passionate and young and not even knowing how not good I actually was, and probably still am, to me at least.
Sure.
So just like full conviction, just like, that's it. That's what we do.
Man.
We still do. That's still how it is. And being older, you really realize that sort of like, well, we can't even do it if it's not just full, full crazy. I can't sing those vocal parts if I'm half asleep. Like, it just doesn't work like that,
Yeah.
It's only gotten harder, and the sets have only gotten longer, and my body has only gotten fucking older, So you just have to do it. There's no way to fake it. You can't fake it. And that's just kind of how we always, but we're not the only band that's any band. That's just a maniacal, heavy, live, organic sounding band,
Yeah.
Any band like that, like Converge, band like Converge you can't get up, it'll never not be good. They can't even attempt it without it being full commitment and just insane. Like, it's perfect every fucking time. You can't fake that,
Yeah. There's very few bands that I feel that way about. Converge is definitely one of them. I've seen them a few times.
Yeah. My God.
I had Kurt on the show, and just his conviction alone and his dedication to the art, and the craft.
Oh, there's every one of them.
Yeah.
Each one of them are as good as you could possibly be doing what they're doing to make that whole machine work at all times. You watch that live, you couldn't possibly fake it.
Sure.
They're perfect. Kurt's a fucking animal. Yeah. We dig those bands that are just full nuts. We always just like bands that go fucking nuts. And a lot of those videos, you watch that stuff, are breaking everything and not playing a lot of the notes back then too.
Yeah.
So, and that adds to it in a cool way. I think there's way less of that at this point. But when you just snap, you just snap. You just kind of get lost in intense fucking heavy music.
Sure. And there's bands you see that try to do that, or almost like think in their head they're doing that, but they're not. Like it's you can see the difference, and I mean you'd be weaving and weaving and weaving around stage. The way you grip the mic, like you were spitting in Larry's face, like, and just smile and laugh, like getting everyone to smile real big and like blowing your cheeks out, like all sorts of hilarious shit. But you are just like singing so hard, and some lyrics with some anger behind them, but then like you're like, just almost just this character. It was cool because, and then off stage you're just as amped up, but you can hold a conversation like we're doing now, but on stage you're looking at you like,
barely.
This guy's fucking nuts. He's nuts. Like what's he doing? Who's he going to mess with next? And like, that was so fun to watch every day. Like we watched you guys every day unless we were playing. Like we were side stage. Being young is such a beautiful fucking thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Did you ever think you'd be a dad? And like, I mean, was that on your radar?
I mean, I imagined it would happen. It was never like I was too, I'm not James Dean, like I was never too cool for fucking society. Like I'm not that far into rock and roll, like I'm a normal fucking dude. Yeah. I guess I knew it was going to happen, but as a younger person, I had no foresight. I couldn't see 5 seconds into the future. I couldn't with a band. I never could. I couldn't when I was younger. Like there was no big plan for Glassjaw in my head. It was just like play every second, every show that we get asked to play, never stop playing.
Yeah.
And I just felt, I'm a lifer. But I'm not a lifer. I'm not that dude. I'm not some road dog. But it definitely, I just don't have enough force, I guess. I never thought that I'm going to eventually be doing this and I'm going to do this for a living and have a child. I didn't really think like that. But,
yeah.
So imagine I figured, of course I figured I'd have a kid. But.
Well, who was, I mean, and along with this, the performance side of it and the emotive side of it, that voice that you have, I mean, it's very unique. The way you carry yourself for one, but then the sound of your voice, the way it can go from almost like comical laughing to some of the most intense screaming. It's something that people have tried to emulate over the years so many times I can't even count. And you can tell you are their influence, but they can't pull it off the same way. I mean, there's bands that the singer even acts like you on stage. I mean, do you see these? Is that on your radar? I know it sucks to look at yourself in that way. But.
I don't. I don't. But every once in a while, if I see something, I'll be like, yeah, maybe they dug old videos of us. Maybe they're younger and they watched YouTube videos. I don't know. Yeah, maybe a little bit, but cool. I don't know. I'm 100% like, if that is the case, I dig it. Yeah, or whatever. It's funny. It's cool, but I dig it. I'm like that. I am that. I still am 100% driven by, whatever records I'm listening to are like who the dude that I'm still kind of trying to like emulate a little bit. I mean, it sounds just like so shallow and so obvious. At 40 years old, you wouldn't even think someone would think like that. But I mean, that was just me. I was fueled by that.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like emulating these, just weird little things that dudes did that just blew my mind. Whether it was like guitar or writing or singing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I still, I'm like that. So I don't really see that. But if bands are like that, then
Man,
I feel you. I'm
more
like
times
that.
than I can count. And there's even bands people have mentioned to me like, "Oh man, this record they totally tried to rip off Glassjaw, and I just don't like him anymore." The singer is totally going for
right when they try to rip us off is when they start sounding horrible. That's appropriate.
Yeah, they're like that. Yeah, I don't know what he was doing. I mean, now he's trying to be this exactly, and I was like, I don't know, man. Like. it was, yeah, it's crazy, but you do definitely have something that's, that's magical. I mean, it's one of those, like, and it's not lightning in a bottle either. It's like, it's something that you've built a career around. I mean, it's something with longevity and I mean, it's your signature deal. I mean, that's what's so cool about it is you and Beck together. I mean, Glassjaw has evolved, of course, but talking to, and this is something I talked to Dave and Todd about after Warped. Like, we saw Dave, I think, in New York. We were playing, oh my God, the Knitting Factory, and
cool.
he came out with he had an iPod with some demos and stuff on it of new stuff, because I was like, man, are you guys going to put anything else out? And he was installing alarm systems in houses or something. Anyways, but he explained to me that you and Justin would come in with like full demos, like full songs on your own. Like, you would record everything, Justin would record everything and bring them to the table. And that's when, and I don't know if that's true, but that's kind of when I started to realize, like, wow, everyone kind of plays everything and these complete ideas. That was really interesting to me to hear. I mean, if it's true.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, of course. Yeah. And we like hearing the song at the end.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah. Like, we've just always kind of, just track a lot of shit. I mean, we track way less shit than we did at the time that you're referring to. Yeah. Definitely, there's way less of surplus of shit, but definitely it was always like, the goal is to be able to do it all, to do it all in house. And that's what, and that's what this record is, just me and him and our boy Billy on drums. So, I mean, you're right.
I remember listening. I was sitting on that. At this
point, it's not even demos. At this point, it's just the demos just become. I mean, what is a demo at this point? Tracking is tracking.
Exactly. You're going to record it the same way on a computer or whatever. Like,
like, why not track it dope? Like, right off rip. Like, a demo? You mean like when you kind of just like put your iPhone in the window in the room that you're sitting in, strumming the guitar, and you film yourself playing the riff? That's the demo. Anything past that, I'm keeping it. But
sure.
I'm not wasting it. I'm not wasting the time. I mean, it kind of was that. I feel like a lot of it was that. There was some stuff where we were doing retracking on some, guitar parts, but for the most part, it was pretty fast on the new record. Like, everything was,
Sure.
Yeah.
I remember. Like, I mean, I was sitting on a curb in front of Knitting Factory with Dave, and just listening to these demos, and they were super like mellow, but very. I mean, I was stoked on them. Like, I was like, this is going to be really good. And then I don't know if anything out that even came out, but
probably some of that got used. I'm sure a bunch of it, if not all those riffs in some capacity, got put into stuff.
Yeah.
They very well could have. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
If you heard a demo of it, then some of it made it to something. Yeah.
Sure. And then soon after that, the lineup changed. Everything kind of shifted a little bit, and then everything kind of went more under the radar. Like, stuff came out every once in a while, and it was kind of like, was that when Justin had, merch director or whatever was going crazy, and like everyone's life was going different directions? Like, it seemed like
we definitely had a lot of things, like just a million things happening in every direction, like him and I guess. But I think it was probably more. I'll take more responsibility. I guess it was probably more me. Just like I said, I can be lackadaisical. I take on a lot of projects, and I'm cool with the calendar, but like I can get lackadaisical when it's something that doesn't take effort. Like, Glassjaw doesn't take effort in this sort of weird way, and I don't know if anybody. I don't know if it'll even make sense to anybody, me or Justin, but it like kind of goes on autopilot. And like it was, I feel like I maybe was a little more lackadaisical and just had Automatica stuff, and making making beats and whatever I was fucking doing for a lot of dudes, and just touring a lot. And I was touring a lot, and then put out two head Automatica records at the time.
Yep.
But I mean, it was probably more me. But that was, I was only probably 2 years, and then maybe like 2003 to 2005, we kind of, but absolutely, merch direct. There's a lot of shit going on. He started having his family expanded. He had children at that point, and so definitely we just kind of definitely got a little bit older at that point in our life. And it was probably 2 years of no frequency. Mm-hmm. And then maybe like 2005, we just, not kicked it into high gear, but started doing a lot more stuff. And, but no full length record. It was all kind of EPs and, arts and crafts projects, and just kind of doing a lot of stuff ourselves.
Man. And that stuff had some intense groove as well. Like everything just seemed to really lock into place. Just stuff that, your head's bouncing the whole time. Like it just really felt, that stuff that I would see live, was just amplified. It seemed like I could just picture it in my head listening to it, like, what was going into this. And it was cool to kind of sit on the outside and just kind of pick it apart and because stuff was coming out, here and there. So it wasn't like this onslaught of material. But in between that time, you had, like you're saying, Head Automatica, which was some of the catchiest stuff I've ever heard. And just like straight, playing in Head Automatica and playing in Glassjaw, two very different things. You're going 100%. Did you get something else from Head Automatica, or did you feel the same way playing with them as you do with Glassjaw, as far as 110%, get the same like satisfaction?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Super different, obviously super different experience,
Sure.
It's totally different, it's totally, I wouldn't say polar opposite. There's a lot of, groovy, funky fucking things, going on in Glassjaw always, and there was always a lot of, kind of body moving sort of grooviness with a lot of the Head Automatica stuff too and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a totally different experience, and I guess, after a while it just feels like you make music, and that's just kind of like where you're at for a long time in life. I feel like it feels way less different to do other things than Glassjaw. I feel like everything feels like it's just like it's music, and these are familiar paradigms that I slip into.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel it's just like you have to become like you got to just get your head in the right spot and be efficient, whether it's like studio or live or going on the road. Like it's you just slip into it and you do it. I think that I probably couldn't. I think I didn't probably feel that or understand that the same way. There was no clarity like that maybe in 2003, 2004. There was just probably a lot of projects happening, and Glassjaw was very different feeling than everything. It just kind of feels like music happens and things. It all kind of feels streamlined and things feel simpler in a weird way.
Sure.
It feels like it's kind of what I do. It's what people do. We're going on tour with Quicksand and Walter from Quicksand. He's constantly doing, any number of amazing fucking projects. They're all in a rock sort of zone, but they're drastically different. And I feel that for him, it's probably that's what he does at this point. He's like this amazing alternative rock troubadour that just slips into these different things, and I think it's probably just feels really, really familiar to him too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you? And I ask this question a lot too, because and it's something that get very different answers on, but. And from what you've told me so far and what I've seen, I kind of know probably where you're going to go with it, but do you play music because you have to or because you want to? Is it so much a part of you that you could never stop? Or is a lot of it just because it's what you do, you keep doing it? Does that make sense? Is it
no, of course. No, that
Okay.
makes perfect sense. In the least poetic way possible, I love playing music. I do. Obviously, I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go dig ditches for dough if I really fucking hated it. But do I also do it because it's what I do for a living? Yeah, definitely. I'm fucking I'm almost 40. I have a child, and I own things, and I have a wife and a mom I take care of. I definitely do it because it's my job. I definitely enjoy it, and I think about it a lot, that I am lucky to never have been one of those dudes that are just caught in this jingle land where everything is you're laughing at a lot of shit that you're doing. I'd be honored to be thrown tons of that work, because that stuff is fun and it's really easy. Not that it's easy. I don't mean to insult anybody that does that. And it's fucking, it's a lot of work. It's easy, but it's a lot of work. I feel like I have never had to slave away at making things for anybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've never had to do that. I feel like I'm really fucking lucky that it's always been these really childlike. It's a band. I've always been in a band, So to be this age and still be doing stuff like that, I'm humbled. I'm lucky. You know, me and Justin love doing this thing. It's great the way that it works out, takes up the right amount of time, and we enjoy the freedom of it. Like, we really do control. We control everything we do, you know. We really enjoy that. We're in a really good position. We're lucky, you know. And I'm lucky with anything else I do as well. I'm honored to be able to do that. But yeah, I mean, it is my living too. Sure. I'm not going to act like that.
Sure.
You know, I love reading. I'll sit home and read for like 5 fucking years if I really didn't have to go out and do anything. I can make a couple of tunes here and there for you if you want, just talk about it. If I didn't have to make any money, I guess that would be cool. But
Sure. Not that lucky. You have to keep going and making the paycheck and all that. But God,
it's great though. You know, it's fucking great. It's amazing. I play childish music. I mean, that sounds really petty, but I play really young, feeling insane, sort of avant-garde, crazy, you know, intense, weird, fun shit. I'm humbled, you know.
And you get to do that. Yeah, you get to do that on stage every night, and it's insane. So, I mean, when did Material Control start developing as far as an idea that, hey, we're going to put out a record, you know, not an EP, we're going to put out a record, and then the whole thing with it going to be a secret, and then someone not leaking it, but leaking the idea that it was coming out, or the date or whatever. What happened with all that? Like that, take me through that process, because that was a really interesting thing.
Well, let's see. Long story short, I feel like the record has been fully done, mixed and mastered for at least 2 years at this point.
Holy
literally. Shit. Yeah, it was definitely all wrapped for a long time, and we kind of, you know, we were deliberating how to, you know, present it to the public, how Justin and I wanted to do it. And in the end, long story short, we did it. We did it with Sony, and it's somehow with the release of this record that we kind of had completed, and we wanted to kind of present, like, you know, to everybody on our mailing list would kind of receive, you know, pieces of the record at random, sort of these playable flexi disc postcard. We kind of put it together. You know, everybody around the same day or 2 or 3 would, around, you know, whoever was on this mailing list would be getting a different tune at random from it, and that would be kind of like, well, you know, ta-da, there's a record. Everybody's realizing that there's maybe 10 songs or whatever had circulated, you know. But there was something at the label, as, you know, the way labels work, some confusion. I mean, at this point, you know, I don't even know. There's some confusion, and somebody was, you know, appeasing something with Amazon and needed to put up something to the effect of a pre-order, and just totally spoil the whole thing, you know. And it doesn't just, and it's not like I'm an artist, you know, like, hey, Justin and I are the fucking artists, and now we're all, you know, irritated that you fucked with our fantasy. I mean, it's not, yeah, it's a little bit that, but like, it's not just that. It's also, it probably just may have been even better for everybody involved if it had the impact of being, ta-da, but, you know.
Yeah.
Nobody can have nice things. Nobody can have nice things.
That's something you're going to say very soon. Yeah. You're going to be saying that when you're. Oh my God! My son just threw his iPad off the deck, off the balcony.
See? And that's why we can't have
nice things. And my fucking mother said that to me every single day. I swear.
My wife says that, and it's real. It's fucking real, and it works that way maybe with corporations too. You know.
That's the name of the next record. This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect.
That's right.
Dude. So how has the record been received? I mean, I was at the show with you guys and The Used. I was talking with Bert and Justin for the show, and then I had to bail, so I was talking to them while you guys were playing.
Cool.
And so I totally fucking missed it, and then I also didn't see them either. So it was this whole thing. I swooped in and swooped out. But I mean, how have people been receiving the new material? I mean, have they just been craving it and there's just like this release for them? Is there been some people saying, I don't understand it? I mean, I'm sure there's a bit of both because it's just how the world works. But in your eyes,
yeah. I mean, I'm really honest. So
Good.
I'll tell it like it is. No, it feels great. I mean, I feel like when we've played in our area, we did a couple of little headlining things, around the holidays. We did a sort of surprise, kind of two sort of surprisey little, short notice sort of things in New York, and amazing,
Yeah.
We did St. Vitus, was kind of, I guess, the last day sort of that used tour that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's like a smaller sort of club. Definitely the best rock metal club in New York, without a doubt.
Yeah.
It could be the fun. I mean, it's one of the better that I've ever seen in the whole, on the fucking planet. And our friends, full disclosure, our friends do own it, but they're amazing, and the place is fucking amazing. And that show was completely ridiculous, and that's footage and the footage from that is in a new video that we kind of put out relatively recently. But yeah, the shows have been wild. I feel like kids know a lot of the words. You could tell, and it was cool in the beginning because you could kind of tell which kids had gotten mailed which songs at random, because that would be the song certain kids would sing to. But yeah, I mean, it's been great. Hasn't been out terribly long. We haven't played I mean, it's been out a while, but we haven't played tons of shows headlining really to really see it. But I think these upcoming shows, us and Quicksand, I mean, I think it'll be pretty batshit.
Yeah,
I think it'll be
that's
crazy.
Going to be a badass bill too.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited, honored, and excited.
Dude, that's fantastic. I'm so glad things are going so well, and I mean, it's just so cool to watch the whole thing unfold from the side. The regular world, I guess you can call it. Just watch. I mean, seeing these things come out and seeing, like just the G coming out, like, and that's the only thing posted, like the G from Glassjaw, like, oh shit, they're coming back. Like, just the way you guys do things. I mean, you have so much control over every aspect. There's always been a cool factor to Glassjaw, I think, because of the mystique behind it and just kind of how things are just kind of put out there. And then everything from the artwork to the live show to the sound, I mean, everything is just so well done. I think that's really helped too with the longevity and just keeping people interested and keeping things fresh, but also branding yourselves. You guys have been so good with branding. It's fascinating. I mean, there's so many things that you guys have put out that it's Glassjaw. It doesn't say Glassjaw anywhere on it, but you know what it is because the brand is there. You guys are.
Yeah, we dig that. We always dug that. Like, emblems and insignias, and kind of trying to keep mystique more than beating you over the head with everything. Definitely, we try not to do too much. We try not to do too much, and I think that just even putting a record out feels like there's too much going on. I feel like we played more shows in the last year and a half than we have in 10 years. So I feel like Justin and I both are always like, everything is too much, like doing anything. Like even me talking right now on a podcast for this long is like, I feel like a fool. Like, what the fuck could I possibly be talking about for this long that warrants anybody listening? You know what I mean? So we try to keep it all, pretty undercover and not oversaturate our little universe.
Sure.
We have our thing. We got our people. We know who digs us, and maybe this new record helped push it past that a little bit, and that's that was why not? Why not?
Yeah,
I doing it long enough. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that. But
what's coming up is summertime, and what's going to happen. There's a little kid out there, I would not say a little kid, but a youngster out there that's going to put on his fucking Glassjaw shirt and go to that day camp and fly that flag. Yeah. And the exact same thing is going to fucking happen, Daryl.
That's right.
And
that's beautiful. You say that. That's it's very cute. It sounds that's very real. It sounds romantic. That is definitely what could happen. Two dudes could meet. I know plenty of little dudes that we meet that are just our buddies that sort of fucking pair,
Life is romantic.
We're that, life is fucking romantic.
It is.
It is fucking romantic,
it's
man.
Poetry in motion.
It is poetry emotion. Hey, I'm still listening to those bands. I'm still wearing those T-shirts a lot of times. I'm still in that headspace, and so is Justin. Like he prides himself on that. He loves what he loves, and it kind of never changes. So he kind of, he prides himself on that shit too. That's important. Let your freak flag fly.
Exactly, with a G on it.
Get it out. That's right, with the fucking
with
big
a fucking G on it.
Who might you meet? You might meet somebody in change history with your buddy.
Yeah. Who knew that all that created all this, and it's just going to keep going. It's the cool thing, the thing that I like about what I do for work now is I watch these buildings go up, and I can look at the skyline of Portland and point at the buildings I helped build. And it's gonna live longer than me. Big. It's gonna last longer than me, just like what you're doing and what you're creating.
That's good.
It's awesome.
It'll last longer, and it's far more important. I think that what you're talking about is far more important than maybe making some rock tunes. That sounds very monumental.
Fuck no. That's what keeps me going. This gets me up in the morning. Yeah. That's what gets me up in the morning.
Thank you.
That creativity.
That. And I think that about what you did. I think, and I know Justin would say the same thing. We enjoy architecture and whatnot. I'm not much of a handyman. He's a real handyman. I'm not a handyman, but we both love handyman sort of things. I just enjoy it in a different way because I'm not really a partaker in it. But to even hear you talking about what you're talking about, that's amazing.
Dude, it's
amazing that you do that.
Man, well, and like you said, talking on this podcast for this long, like I feel honored to have you on, for one, just because, I mean, and I know we're old buddies, but the fact that I don't think you guys do a lot of long form interviews and talk, and that's why I was kind of surprised to hear back, like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, really? Okay.
Well, only because I knew you. Only because I knew you. I really don't. I don't like doing things typically like this because I feel like, what the fuck am I saying? And how unimportant is half of it? So why even do that? And I try, I'm not trying to be in everybody's face. That's not my thing.
Sure. Sure.
I dig music. I don't dig trying to fly my flag at this point.
Yeah.
but old friends, so of course, as long as you want to do it. Honestly, thanks.
Well, dude, I really appreciate it too, and you're an influencer. I mean, from your style to what you do. I mean, you have a stage. Regardless whether you're on it, you have a stage, and people are watching and either picking up on or people are hating something. Like, it's all out there, and the fact that you came on the show and would chat, for this long. I mean, it's an honor for me because it's not something you normally do, but it's also great to catch up with an old buddy and hear what's going on in your life, kind of what led to us meeting, And
yeah, of course, man.
The fact that you're a father now, I mean, we have so much we could talk about on that side of things. I know I don't usually talk about that stuff with people on the show because people keep their lives private.
Not very rock and roll. It's not really rock and roll, right? It doesn't feel very rock and roll.
You live the same hours pretty much. You're not sleeping much. You're tired.
That's right.
You're stressed out.
That's right.
But then there's these great moments that last,
way less now than when I was rocking more. Oh my God, I got way more sleep when I was rocking more and partying.
Dude.
Partying more.
Oh. It's changed your whole life already, and it's gonna keep doing it. And you're gonna have these amazing moments, and I'm sure you have already. But as things progress, it's just gonna blow your damn mind. And I'm so excited for you as a father and what you're gonna see. And I mean, it's gonna melt your world, man. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I'm quite happy. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Dude, Daryl, I'm going to let you go, man, and not take up more of your evening. But like I said, I really appreciate you coming on for a long form chat and, getting out of your comfort zone, but at the same time, catching up. And I mean, your contribution to what, me musically and all that stuff, I mean, it means a lot to me. And I say this all the time on the show because I talk to a lot of people that I really enjoy. But I truly enjoy what you've done.
You're very kind. You're very, very, very kind. I appreciate it.
Cool, man. I appreciate that too. And all right, guys. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Daryl Palumbo from Glassjaw, a good old friend of mine from the Warped Tour days, from the Anatomy of a Ghost days, still hitting it hard and releasing one of their best records to date. And I'm so glad he's doing what he's doing. And what a cool story. and an awesome time I had talking to him. I'm glad you guys got to sit in on that and maybe learn something you didn't know about Daryl, and or maybe get inspired. You know, he's a very inspiring guy. He's very just a kind-hearted dude. So a true original, as I said earlier, and really appreciate him coming on and sharing his story with you guys and with me. So I'm going to keep this one short, keep everything on Adobe. We are on all the socials, purepleasurepodcast.com. Check out rockabilia.com. Next week, we have another great episode for you, and the week after, and the week after. It's just going to keep coming. So anyways, I appreciate you guys coming back week after week. It's really special to know you guys are out there listening. All the emails I'm getting, the feedback, loving it. So keep that up. Keep spreading word of mouth. Rate and subscribe on iTunes. Give us a 5-star rating if you dig the show. It definitely helps us out with chart position and everything else, and lets the world know we are a force to be reckoned with, which you already know. So we are just over 80 episodes in, and it only gets better from here, folks, and I really appreciate you having you on board. I say it every week, but I really do appreciate it. And as always, we will see you on the radio.